concentration and insight meditation. Today, meditation, kammatthana, is a well-known practice all over the world. Due to many people's interest, a lot of meditation centers appeared. People regardless of religion go to the meditation centers. But in their meditation practice, they have different intentions for reduction of stress, and to have a peaceful mind, or for liberation from the suffering of samsara and to attain path, magga, fruition, phala, and nibbana. The meaning of kammatthana is the object of mental development, or the process of mind practice. Kammatthana is of two kinds, samatha and vipassana. Whoever wishes to follow should know the technique and differences of the two clearly, so that one will realize if one's practice belongs to samatha or vipassana. What is samatha? If you are asked what samatha is, samatha is a concentration that tranquilizes the opposite mental states, like kamachanda, etc. Samadhi that removes evil emotions and stress is to be called samatha. The human mind becomes unstable when meeting sensual objects. You see, if on perceiving an object, craving for it arises, there is mental instability and restlessness. If hatred arises, there is mental instability and restlessness. If delusion arises, there is mental instability. Such mental instability is tranquilized and removed by the meditation practice called samatha. Besides that, the energy of concentration obtained through samatha practice removes those mental instabilities. Therefore samadhi really is samatha. You should note, meditation practice and samadhi both are samatha. In the texts, the meaning of samatha is explained as the dharma which tranquilizes and removes the opposite dharma is called samatha. What is vipassana? If you are asked what vipassana is, vipassana is seeing things with knowledge in different ways. Vi means various or different aspect. Passana means knowledge that sees. In other words, vipassana means a knowledge that sees in extraordinary ways. How it sees in extraordinary ways. Commonly, people see life as a happiness or their own property. Contradictory, a knowledge which sees life as impermanent, as suffering, and as uncontrollable, is called vipassana. In the texts it is explained, anicca devasyena, vivadehi, akarihi, dharmipassatiti, vipassana, meaning, the knowledge that sees sankhara dharmas in various ways, as impermanent, suffering, and uncontrollable, is vipassana. The dharmas to be practiced. These two dharmas, samatha and vipassana, are the dharmas to be developed, bhavi tabba, and to be practiced. In order to make the unstable mind stable, samatha should be practiced. Without concentration and without insight knowledge, nibbana is unattainable. Therefore, to have mental concentration and excellent insight knowledge, vipassana should be followed. However, these two practices, samatha and vipassana, have different objects. Samatha practice. The object of samatha generally is a concept. because a concept is a consensus, accepted by many people, but it does not exist in reality. For example, if people accept a color as white, it becomes white. If red, it becomes red. If yellow, it becomes yellow. These are only concepts. On such a concept object one tries to focus one's mind to concentrate on it. The practice of samatha generally is based on concept objects. However, some practice like Buddha-nusati, recalling the qualities of the Buddha, and Chattadhatu Vavatana, analysis the four elements, are based on the object of nature or ultimate reality, paramatta. They are also samatha. In samatha practice, there are two kinds of concentration: access concentration, upachara samadhi, and jhana concentration, appana samadhi. Herein, the concept objects which lead to appana samadhi are 28. Kasina Panyati. If you follow samatha practice, you need to be based on one of the concept objects. The objects possible are the four elements, earth, water, fire, and air, or the color concepts, dark blue, yellow, red and white, or the space or light object. Such objects are called kasina device. Based on such kasina devices, you should practice samatha. Anapana Panyati. Besides it, you can take the anapana concept, breathe in, breathe out, as samatha object. Everybody breathes 24 hours a day without stopping. You should try to develop concentration based on such a breathing air. The Buddha's virtues. If asked, if samatha practice is possible, focusing on the virtues of the Buddha, yes, it is possible. However, the concentration based on the Buddha's virtues does not lead to the stage of jhana or appana samadhi. Why? The Buddha's virtues are very deep qualities, a kind of reality, paramatta. Therefore, the samadhi based on the Buddha's qualities cannot reach up to jhana. If you wish to practice samatha on the Buddha's virtues, you firstly have to understand the meaning of the virtues. For example, Araham, the Buddha, who has totally eradicated mental defilements. Comparative contemplation is more helpful. I have craving, lobha, hatred, dosa, delusion, moha, conceit, mana, but the Buddha does not. All mental defilements are no more in the Buddha's mind. Such a comparative contemplation clarifies the meaning. One's mental process will be fixed on the virtues of the Buddha, so that it will be real Buddha-nusati practice. But using rosary, counting the Buddha's virtues, and reciting the words without concentrated mind cannot be called real Buddha-nusati. Actually, you must focus on Buddha's real virtues, so that delight and joy will come into being. Method of samatha. If you wish to follow the samatha practice systematically, you have to choose either kasina or in and out breathing as object of meditation. Before beginning to practice samatha or vipassana, you firstly have to purify your morality, sila, by re-observing it. If anyone, without morality, focuses on a meditation object, various objects will invade his mind. In order to avoid such objects to invade the mind, you have to restore your sila. Considering your sila should bring happiness to your mind. It is said, Silam Adi Patissa Raya, meaning, sila leads to a state free of worry. It leads to delight, joy, physical and mental tranquility, happiness, concentration and knowledge, which sees what really is. Therefore, firstly, you have to purify your morality. As a lay person, restore the 5 precepts, then consider your morality. Since now, I never commit to killing any being, I abstain from killing. I fulfill this morality. Considering it, you will be happy. I never take others' property intentionally. This morality is also pure. I never commit sexual misconduct. I never tell a lie, only the truth. I never take any intoxicant, drinks or drugs. Regarding your morality, you will become happy whenever you consider it. If you put your happy mind on the samatha object, you can cultivate concentration quickly. Otherwise, if you practice meditation without morality, past shadows will invade the mind, based on immorality. The mind cannot be stable. With an unstable mind under the influence of restlessness, one cannot obtain mental concentration. Therefore, the Buddha said, Silam Adi Patissa Raya, morality leads to freedom from remorse. To be free from remorse is very important. The Buddha encouraged us to base on morality whatever meditation we practice, samatha or vipassana. A person who has renounced family life must purify the monk's morality regarding to 227 principles, making sure he is without offense then. If he breaks any discipline, he has to restore it. Then, he considers his own morality to obtain happiness. With a happy mind he focuses on the samatha object. If you follow the meditation practice, without preliminary purification of morality, it is not easy to succeed. Needless to say, that if you want to cook rice, it is necessary to prepare. If you sow a seed, you must prepare the soil where you want to sow. Preliminaries are necessary in every work. On being about to meditate, you must clean your body and mind, then morality. After that, consider your morality, which makes your mind happy. If an obstacle occurs during meditation practice, what should be done to protect from it? First, you should relinquish your life to the Buddha. That is an advice of commentators. On facing obstacles, fear arises. When fear comes into being, the practice cannot be continued. One dares not to continue one's practice. If one relinquishes one's body to the Buddha, one may consider, I have relinquished my body to the Buddha. It does not concern me. In this way, one can restore fearlessness, and courage comes into being. The mind is in a different state, depending on thinking. Such right thought can reload mental power. Before meditation, what should be done? Sometimes one may accuse noble persons without restraining one's mouth. Such an accusation becomes an obstacle in meditation practice. Therefore, one must apologize towards a noble person if one committed accusation. By apologizing, doubt and mental stress cannot remain in one's mind. There is no mental tension. One feels happiness considering, I have done everything. There is nothing doubtful or fearful and no tension. To release such a mental tension, preliminary work is important and should be done. Regarding the Anapana object, People are breathing for 24 hours a day. The breathing air is plentiful for all. Focusing on the breathing air, samatha should be practiced. If you follow this practice, you may attain the first jhana stage. You can upgrade to the second, third and fourth jhana stage on that object. It means you can attain all jhanas through this method. The Bodhisattva, the Buddha to be, renounced and followed the austere practice, but there was no benefit. In the end he found the right path, followed it and finally attained omniscience knowledge. Which meditation technique did the Bodhisattva follow? It was only Anapana meditation. To become the Buddha, the Bodhisattva used the breathing air as his meditation object. This meditation technique causes one to become an arahant. If you wish to attain jhana or magga phala, you must focus on your breathing air. The breathing air is of great value. The breathing air is important for everybody to live long. Every day and every time you inhale and exhale. If you do not make use of your breath, it will be useless. In this world, there are some people called bala, a fool. The Pali word bala means a person who just breathes but cannot attain any knowledge on this breath. Such a person can be called bala. Not only human beings, almost all animals too, breathe for their survival, but for nothing more. The noble persons used this breathing air as meditation object, but not to live longer. Therefore, they attained jhana and magga phala, up to nibbana, if they had parami conditions, effort and the wish to attain them. The Bodhisattva attained jhana focusing on the breathing air. After that he changed his technique and used jhana as vipassana object. Through vipassana practice he became the Buddha, attaining the four paths step by step. The Bodhisattva's meditation technique was based on Anapana. Body posture. If you follow Anapana as samatha, which physical posture is suitable for you? You must choose one of the physical postures. If you choose walking, there is motion, therefore, your mind will be on various work. You have to know in and out breathing and you have to look on the way. The mind cannot be stable. If you are not looking on the path, you may stumble and slip. Therefore, the walking posture is not suitable for Anapana. If you chose standing, you may retain your body not to fall down. Your mind has to work more. If you practice on lying down, before soon you will sleep. There is no effort. You feel luxurious. Therefore, the lying body posture is not suitable either. In brief, to follow Anapana practice, walking, standing, and lying down are not good. Only the sitting posture, keeping upright, is good and stable. Therefore, whoever wishes to follow this Anapana practice should follow the instruction the Buddha says. Palankam, abhujitva, means sit in cross-legged posture, and ojam, kayam, panidaya, means keep the body upright. If you sit cross-legged, the body becomes motionless and more stable, neither luxurious and sleepy, nor with too much effort, like in walking or standing. Men sit cross-legged, and women may sit half cross-legged, which keeps the body upright. Why should one keep the body upright? In the back, there are about 18 bones and joints, which one has to straighten up. If you bend and bunch the joints, they will press to one another, and backache comes into that being. Therefore, the body, including the head, must be kept upright. In the text, it is instructed in detail how to sit. Focusing on the breath. Then focus on the object with your mind. You must be mindful of the object at the nostrils, where the breathing air touches. There are different persons. For a person whose upper lip is shorter, the breathing air touches the tip of the nose, while for a person with protruding upper lip, the breathing air touches the tip of the upper lip. It means, wherever the breathing air touches, you must be mindful. According to Samatha practice on Anapana object, you should keep inhalation and exhalation regularly. Some meditation masters give instructions to cultivate samadhi quickly, by breathing forcefully and fast. Such a method is not mentioned in the text, but some follow it according to their wish. Breathing hard and quickly causes to tiredness. Therefore, you should breathe in and out in a regular and normal way. Relax your mind and body. Don't keep tensions. Focus your mind on the object and keep calm. There should not be any tension. The mind has to be kept wherever the breathing air touches. While we concentrate on it, the first focusing on the breathing object is called preliminary sign, parikarma nimitta. When that object appears clearly in the mind, it is called abstract sign, ugaha nimitta. In the end, the breathing object changes its form in the mind. The resembled sign, patibhaga nimitta, appears. Mental perception produces such a sign. For some people, the breathing air looks like 2 lines of smoke. For some others, it looks like a pearl rosary. For some, as a small ball in motion on the tip of the nose. It is various. One can see in mind a smoking line, or the lines of light. Such a sign appears in different ways, in different persons, because their perception is different. Focusing on this nimitta, one must continue the meditation practice and increase the power of mental concentration. Within one, the mental hindrances, nivarana, are suppressed, are subjugated. Sensual desires become calm. Hatred on the object is removed. Mental restlessness and worry do not appear. Sloth and torpor are abandoned. On that object, there is no more doubt. Such a mental state is called a state where mental hindrances are kept away. By which are they kept away? It is the power of concentration which keeps them away. Concentration removes the other mental states that are hindrances. In one's mind, no impurities come up, no nivaranas come into being. The mind remains only with that sign, nimitta, the line of light or smoke. After that, what continuously happens? Keeping on that nimitta, mental application, vitakka, works with that nimitta object. Application means the Dharma, which puts the mind onto the object. If the mind is in touch with the object, has joined the object, it is called vitakka. Such a mental state clearly appears. It works very well. The mind continuously is in contact with that nimitta object. Another mental state is sustained application, vichara. It looks like the bind of the mind to the object. It keeps the mind not to be off the object, to be joined. That is the power of vichara. The next state is enjoyment of that nimitta object, which is called piti. By means of piti, the mind is happy with the object. Then a comfortable experience appears. One feels comfortable physically and mentally. One feels happiness. It is sukha. There is no tension in body or mind. Just happiness continuously appears. Attainment of jhana. Through the power of samadhi, the mind has only one object. All mental states concentrate on the nimitta object only. In such an attainment, to apply the mind on the object is vitakka. To keep the mind on the object is vichara. To enjoy the object is piti. To be happy with the object is sukha. Concentrating upon one object is ekaggata or samadhi. These 5 factors are called jhana factors. They work harmoniously with the object. This is the state of the attainment of the first jhana. Having attained the first jhana, the mind is far from sensual objects. It does not join with these sense objects, enjoyable visible objects, sounds, smells, tastes and tangible objects. The mind never turns to those objects. The mind is far from sensual objects and keeps them away. Jhana attainment is possible when there is no desire for sensual pleasure. If the mind joins these sense objects, jhana attainment is impossible. For example, a person who wishes to be on next bank must abandon this bank. Without abandoning this bank, he cannot reach the other bank. So, whoever wants to attain jhana must abandon sensual pleasure. In the text it is said, Vivichiva kamehi, meaning, you must keep sensual pleasure away. Vivichiva akasalehi dharmehi, means, you must keep all types of unwholesome states away. On a jhana stage, they become quiet. Hatred, dosa, quietens, conceit, mana, jealousy, issa, stinginess, macharya, all mental states become quiet. What has happened on that stage? One feels rejoice and happiness produced by keeping sensual pleasure away. It is called vivikaja piti sukha, the joy and happiness produced by keeping sensual pleasure away. In the world, the enjoyment of the majority of people is with sensual pleasure, seeing beautiful visible objects, listening pleasant sounds, smelling sweet smells, enjoying tasting by tongue, touching with the body tangible objects. Such an enjoyment is called the enjoyment of sensual pleasure. But the enjoyment of jhana is not like that. It overcomes all sensual pleasures and abandons them. The enjoyment appeared with the nimitta object, like the line of light, the line of smoke, etc. Such a state is called the state of patama jhana, first jhana. Herein, some may think, if they attain jhana, they can fly. Jhana is flying. Actually, jhana cannot fly. The word jhana has 2 meanings, burning down and firm concentration. When one attained the first jhana, it burns mental impurities and hindrances down like fire. For example, if you burn paper, the fire burns down the paper. Like that, the jhana burns down the desire for sensual pleasure. The state of firm concentration is called jhana. Jhana is composed of the 5 factors: initial application, vitakka, sustained application, vichara, joy, piti, happiness, sukha, and one-pointedness, ekaggata. After that, in the stage of the second jhana, what factors are overcome? Vitakka and vichara are overcome. Herein, vitakka does not apply the mind onto the object. Through the power of samadhi, the mind automatically applies onto the object. Therefore, in the second jhana, the mind remains with joy, happiness, and concentration. When seeing the fault of joy that it is emotion, joy is removed, and the third jhana stage is attained. In the third jhana stage, the mind remains with two factors, happiness and concentration. Then, one dislikes any kind of emotion. Therefore, one removes happiness. Instead of happiness, sukha, equanimity or indifferent feeling, upekkha, comes into being. It is the attainment of the fourth jhana stage. In that stage, the mind remains with two factors, indifferent feeling and concentration. When the fourth jhana is attained, the mental power has reached its highest level. Supernormal knowledge. Through this power, what do we create? One can create different kinds of higher knowledge or supernormal powers, abhiññā, like flying in the sky. Various abhiññā are possible, only in the fourth jhana stage. To attain such a stage, one must work hard. Repeated practice is necessary. With abhiññā, one can get down into the earth, or fly in the sky. However, the creation must not be contradictory to the nature, it must be according to nature. For example, if one walks on the surface of water, before walking one must create the surface to be solid, then one can walk on the path. Otherwise, if one walks on normal water surface, one will sink down. This is nature. If one tries to enter the underground, one firstly has to create a hole in the earth, after that only one can enter. If one walks on the sky, one firstly has to create a walking path, then it's possible to walk. Nothing can be done contradictory to the nature. Therefore, such a power is supernormal power, but not supernatural power. You cannot overcome the nature. Creation must follow the nature. If one succeeds in samatha practice, such a state can be experienced. According to samatha practice, one can live the whole day focusing only one object. Not only 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. One can remain in that state according to one's wish. The mental power protects the material body. Therefore, suffering never appears in the physical body. The whole physical body is light and in peace. Therefore, jhana attainment is for living happily in the present life. The Buddha and the Arahants lived happily in their present lives through this attainment. This samatha practice is true and should not be blamed. But you must not follow samatha, because through samatha you cannot attain nibbana. Even the Buddha followed the samatha practice, and Arahants also followed it and attained jhana repeatedly, therefore samatha should be practiced. What is the destination of samatha practice? Its destination is abhiññā as effect. If one does not lose jhana, one will be born in Brahma world. The first jhana leads to the first jhana plane, the second to the second jhana plane, the third to the third, and the fourth to the fourth jhana plane, accordingly. Vipassana practice. As person who succeeds in samatha practice must change his technique, if he wants to attain magga, phala and nibbana. Without remaining on the nimitta object, he changes to vipassana. How to change from samatha to vipassana? At first one tries to attain jhana on that nimitta, then one withdraws from the jhana stage. Then, one focuses on the concentrated mind itself which had the nimitta as its object. The subject, the jhana mind focused on nimitta, becomes the object of contemplation. For example, one is angry. Then one thinks about one's anger. like that it's possible, when one withdraws from jhana, the mental state of jhana still can be observed. Focusing on these jhana mental states as object, one practices vipassana meditation. Vipassana is impossible on a concept object like the line of light. But the mind, which perceives the line of light, must be the object of vipassana. In the beginning of vipassana, there are two steps. The first step is, the meditator has to note mind and matter, nama rupa, by means of individual characteristic, sabhava lakkhana. That means one must note the object through its individual characteristic. For example, if initial application, vitakka, is the object of vipassana, one must note vitakka from the point of its own individual characteristic. Vitakka is a mental state that puts the mind onto the object. If you note sustained application, vichara, vichara keeps the mind on the object. If you note joy, piti, it is a mental state which rejoices the object. If you note happiness, sukha, it is with the nature of happiness. If you note concentration, samadhi, it causes the mental states to concentrate on the object. These mental states have different individual characteristics. As soon as it changes to vipassana technique, the ultimate reality, paramatta, should be noted by means of its individual characteristic. For example, focusing on hatred, one realizes the hatred. It is a mental state that burns the mind and destroys mental tranquility. It's true, hatred, dosa, is a mental state that destroys the peaceful mind. Noting its nature, one realizes dosa. If craving, lobha, appears, one focuses on lobha. It's a mental state, which attaches to the mental object. In this way one notes lobha. Each dharma has its individual characteristic, called sabhava lakkhana. This is the first step. In the second step, seeing conditioned things, nama rupa, through their individual characteristic, one sees them trough their universal characteristic moreover. The universal characteristic is the nature of impermanence, anicca, the nature of suffering, dukkha, and the nature of uncontrollability, anatta. When seeing nama rupa as anicca, dukkha, anatta, it really becomes vipassana. Whoever follows this technique of first samatha, then vipassana, needs to start with nama. On seeing nama clearly, then contemplate where the nama appeared. On contemplation, the base of nama comes into appearance. Focusing on the mental base matter, almost all matter can be perceived clearly. Nama and rupa both can be noted by the mind. One understands, nama is different from rupa, rupa is different from nama. One clearly sees nama and rupa both are impermanent. After arising, they fall. Depending on conditions, they appear and disappear. The disappearance is forever, it never comes up again. The next appearance is depending on the next cause. In this way, this process of mentality and materiality runs continuously. Dependent on conditions it appears, then, it totally disappears. It is impermanent, anicca. This nature of appearance and disappearance runs forever. All nama and rupa are unstable. Due to instability, nama rupa are unsatisfactory, dukkha. One has no power to control such changeability and suffering. It is anatta. Seeing nama rupa in this way is called vipassana. Development of vipassana. Vipassana develops in different steps. 1. The very first step is the knowledge that analyzes nama rupa. 2. The second step is the knowledge that sees nama rupa together with its cause and conditions. 3. The third step is the knowledge that sees nama rupa and examines it as permanent or impermanent, as suffering or happiness, as controllable or uncontrollable. This repeated contemplation is called sammasana jnana. 4. In the fourth step, one sees nama rupa rising and falling at the present moment. 5. In the fifth step, one sees nama rupa presently only falling. This is the highest level of seeing anicca. After that, one's vision changes in different ways. 6. These nama rupa are fearful. 7. They are dangerous. 8. There is nothing to be enjoyed in nama rupa. 9. One wants to abandon nama rupa. 10. Then one is reflecting about the way how to abandon nama rupa. 11. The last step is, one has equanimity seeing sankhara. This sankhara upekkha jnana is the highest vipassana knowledge. Step by step it can be attained. Herein, vipassana leads to magga, phala and nibbana. But samatha leads only to abhiññā and after death to be born in the Brahma world. About 2 vehicles. There are 2 techniques. Samatha comes first, then one changes to vipassana. Or, without approaching samatha one follows directly vipassana. There are 2 vehicles, jnana. You can use either the samatha or the vipassana vehicle. Whatever you like, you can use samatha first, vipassana second, or directly vipassana without preceding samatha. Both these techniques are true. Whatever you like, you can choose. For example, if you want to see Shwedagon Pagoda, you can access from the southern stairs, from the northern, eastern or western stairs to reach it. Samatha practice concentrates the mind on one object, then it attains higher knowledge, abhiññā. Vipassana practice leads to see nama rupa as anicca, dukkha, anatta. Therefore, through those 2 techniques one can eradicate all mental defilements. If you follow the samatha technique, what happens? You can remove craving, the desire for the object. That is a great benefit. But if you follow the vipassana technique, you can realize the nature of nama rupa through the characteristics, anicca, dukkha, and anatta. The knowledge increases through vipassana technique. By means of that, one can remove avidya that concealed the truth. Removal of raga and avidya. In brief, samatha can remove raga, lust, craving. Raga causes suffering to arise. It is a mental state which desires for its object. Then raga ties the mind and causes to attract. Through samatha practice such a raga is subjugated. Samatha practice concentrates the mind and can increase the power of samadhi. Through the power of samadhi, raga is kept away. The vipassana technique increases insight knowledge, seeing things as they really are. It removes ignorance, avidya. Raga defiles the mind. By means of defiled mind, one cannot find liberation. Attachment is controlling one's mind. There is no escape, no exit. Most people cannot overcome raga. In the world, almost all people are the prey of raga or the slave of raga. Nobody can overcome raga, all are under the control of raga. Most people cannot fight for freedom from raga. Following samatha technique is the way you can fight against raga, to become free from it. Then, let's consider avidya or the ignorance. When avidya conceals what is happening, knowledge is unable to see the reality because avidya weakens the knowledge. If avidya is removed, the power of knowledge comes to increase. Through vipassana technique one can increase one's knowledge. Samatha and vipassana on Anapana. Then, I want to explain samatha and vipassana only on Anapana object. You can use Anapana as object for samatha or vipassana. If you want to follow directly vipassana using Anapana object, you must focus on the object in this way. In breathing there are 3 points: breathing air, sensitive body where the breathing air touches, and body consciousness. In vipassana practice you should note these 3 points. The breathing air is called the air tangible object that is a type of matter. The sensitive body, where the air touches, is another matter. Body consciousness appears due to the meeting of these two, air and sensitive body. For example, you see a visible object with your eye. Depending on eye and visible object, eye consciousness arises. On hearing a sound, depending on ear and sound, ear consciousness arises. On getting a smell, depending on nose and smell, nose consciousness arises. On tasting, depending on tongue and taste, tongue consciousness appears. In the same way on touching, depending on body and tangible object, body consciousness arises. In this Anapana object, the breathing air is the tangible object and the sensitive body is where the air touches. Due to the meeting of the two, body consciousness arises. The Buddha said, depending on body and tangible object, body consciousness arises. In this teaching, first you should note the breathing air as tangible object. There is the sensitive body where the air touches. These two are material qualities. Depending on these two material qualities, body consciousness has to arise. In these 3 points, breathing air and sensitive body are matter, rupa, they don't have the nature of knowing an object, they are never aware of the object. It is body consciousness that alone is mind, nama. It is aware of the object. For example, there is a gas lighter. There are at least 3 conditions: inside the lighter, the gas and iron wheel, and the striking by someone. Due to the meeting of the 3, the flame appears. In this way, mind is like a flame. It appears depending on base and object. Therefore, the mind cannot arise by itself like the flame cannot appear by itself, only through the meeting of 3 things: gas, wheel and the striking finger. Another example, let us say, there is a harp. There are 3 conditions that produce the sound: harp body, string and the finger that plays. Due to the meeting of the 3, the sound appears. The sound cannot appear by itself. Depending on 3 conditions it appears. In the same way in Anapana, the breathing air is matter that touches the nostrils. The nostrils are sensitive body. Depending on these 2, body consciousness appears. In that case, the breathing air and the sensitive body are material qualities. Rupa, body consciousness that is aware of the touching, is mind, nama. At that moment, only nama rupa arise. One sees only nama rupa as they really are. Such a seeing is called analytical knowledge of mind and matter. This is the first knowledge. Then the knowledge increases step by step. One understands it more and more. Body consciousness does not appear before the meeting of these two, breathing air and nostrils. As soon as these two meet, body consciousness comes into being. In that case, the breathing air and the sensitive body are the cause, body consciousness is the effect. In the case of playing the harp body, string and the playing fingers are the cause, the sound that appears is the effect. One can comprehend nama rupa with their causes. This knowledge is called knowledge of causality. These two knowledges, analytical knowledge and knowledge of causality, are the foundation of vipassana. A small satapana. If you attain these two jnanas, analytical knowledge of mind matter and knowledge of causality, you become a true Buddhist. In Visuddhimagga it is said, you must try to attain these two knowledges. If you attain them, you will become a small stream winner, Chula Satapana. Why are you to be called small Satapana? You have not had a misperception. In ultimate sense, there is no being, only nama rupa exists. This nama rupa also has to arise depending on conditions. On seeing this, you have no doubt, you see clearly and truly, therefore, you are called Chula Satapana. When you are born as a human being while the Buddha's teachings remain, you must try to attain these two knowledges. Then, by increasing your knowledge, you can attain Sankhara Upekkha Jnana, the highest level of vipassana. If Sankhara Upekkha Jnana becomes mature, you can find Nibbana where all conditioned things, Sankhara, totally cease. People say, if the path ends, you will find a village. Like that, if your vipassana practice ends tracing on Sankhara, you will find Nibbana, the end of Sankhara. 2 essential practices. Let me say, the two techniques, samatha and vipassana, are essential practices in the Buddha's teaching. It is important to follow them systematically and rightly. You can practice these two at your home, wherever you are, and whatever you are, lay or renounced person. As far you follow, the effect will be, don't look too much for the next life. If you follow the practice in this life, you can experience jhana or nibbana respectively. The Dharma taught by the Buddha can be seen by oneself, has immediate effect, there is no waiting list. But you may attain, as far as your quality, parami, permits. In conclusion, samatha subjugates the mental hindrances, and makes the mind calm and tranquil. Vipassana causes to attain special seeing and knowledge. Therefore, while the Buddha's teachings are shining, you should try to follow these two techniques with understanding and confidence. May you try successfully. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.